Hi there. I thought some might be interested in an update on this New Frontier Armory AR-15 lower build. New Frontier Armory, Las Vegas, Nevada. This is the Polymer lower, and this is widely regarded as one of the crappier options in the Polymer AR lower world. They're all considered lower tier and maybe not for heavy duty stuff, but it was available, which none of the other ones have been in these crazy times, and it was like $80. So I don't know, I guess it's probably supposed to be like $70 or $60 shipped. You've seen them previous to the craziness, but I thought for $80 I'd give it a shot, and I now wish that I hadn't, because it's been kind of a pain in the butt. I got it functionally working. I haven't tried it on a live fire exercise, and I still have to get the tube and buffer and spring. I have one on the way. I don't have a buffer spring, I can't find one, but I might just swap out something from another part to try it out. But the major problem with this, there's two major problems with this for me. One is that the magazine latch would not go in. This is a PSA lower, and it would not enter into this cutout here. It was not big enough for the latch to enter. It wasn't wide enough, and this end of it needed material removed from the rounded end. This end had plenty of material, but in order to get it centered on the button on the other side, it took quite a bit of careful sanding to get it to move freely. It's working now, and as long as I press in a normal fashion, like if I was going to use my trigger finger and press in, it works fine. If I push any rearward pressure on it, though, sometimes it'll stick. It'll kind of bind on the other side where it's looking like it's working now. Maybe it's getting worn in a little bit, but so that was the primary problem. The magazine latch, the bolt catch I just filed a little bit of the flash off the inside of these two posts so it would move freely. It was a little bit snug, but it's moving freely now. The pin is snug, it worked in fine. The trigger pin and the hammer pin took a bit of sanding with. This is basically what I did with all of the holes, was to wrap a strip of paper around a suitably sized punch that would fit in there enough that it would still be round, hopefully. And I left them really snug. I still need to drive them out with a punch. I can't press them out with finger pressure. I figured that was preferable than having them looser, and I figured they'll probably wear in after a long time. I don't know, maybe they'll get oval shaped or something. So I left them snug, but that was kind of a minor problem. I'm glad that they're snug rather than loose. The safety holes, this side, the right side, was a little bit more snug than the left. I had to sand both sides in order for the safety to move freely. They were both snug, and I left it tight enough so that the safety wouldn't move under gravity pressure. It still took thumb pressure even without the detent and spring installed. The trigger seems to be working properly, and it resets properly, and the safety works, so that looks good. The other thing that is a pain in the butt is that the threads for the grip are plastic, and the cutout on the receiver for the grip is wider than USGI spec, I suppose, because the MOE grip that I tried did not fit. It would not fit. It needed about at least a 1/16 removed from, in order for the MOE to fit. The USGI grips and also the Ergo grip fit. However, the Ergo grip, the cutout, the plunger spring hole in the grip is not as deep as the USGI, and I couldn't get it on because it would kink the spring, and I couldn't even get the spring I couldn't even get it pushed on far enough. So I have to use this USGI type, which is fine for this purposes. But the threads were a pain because the entry hole to the grip screw in the receiver was messed up. I couldn't get the screw. I was going to try to install the screw to see if it would actually go in, and I was like, I must have the wrong size screw. There's no way this is the right screw for this, because it wouldn't go in, and I was afraid it was going to mess up the threads. And eventually I'm sure that I did mess up the threads, because I was so pissed off at it by the end of trying to line up the screw and get the screw thing, and I just cranked them in there, and I'm sure that I cross-threaded it, and it's tight, but if I ever have to remove it, I'm going to have to either like use red Loctite or drill it and tap it for a larger screw or something. So don't get impatient, but this thing made me angry because those screws are ridiculous. And threading a steel bolt into plastic, that's just a dumb design. They should have put a steel insert in that at least, but I don't know. You get what you pay for, I guess. So those are my caveats for use with these. They are definitely not for people who have not worked with tools before. This is my first AR build, so I'm not, I'm an amateur as far as that's concerned. But you will have to fit most parts slightly. The only real concern, I think anybody could do the safety holes and the trigger holes and just go slowly and don't move them around too much, because you don't want to shift the position of them. You want to be careful. But that magazine catch was a biatch. And I've read on several forums that that's a problem with some of them, and people just basically say you just cut the hole bigger for it. So that's basically what you did. But and it fits. It fits Magpoles fine, and they drop free. But I haven't tried a lot of USGI magazines, but this Adventure line, it goes in, but it takes some pressure to get in there, and it latches fine, and you have to pull it out. So I don't know what to tell you about that. It seems like USGI would be bigger than, Magpul would be bigger than USGI if anything, but so I think I just use PMags in this. They seem to work fine. So I'm gonna try this on a couple of different ARs when I get my buffer tube tomorrow, and I will give you an update on that. So if you get a good deal and you want to try it out and you're going to build an ultralight AR, then it's something to consider. But take it into account that you're going to have to fiddle with it a little bit. Oh, I also had to I didn't mess with these because I wanted them tight. The right side hole here slides fine, and it gets really snug once it enters the left side of the receiver, and you have to drive that out with a punch. And when it's in all the way, it's just flush with the receiver, as you can see. So you can't really push that out. You need one of those fancy tools to push it out, or just drive it out with whatever you have handy in order to get that in. And I put my PSA upper on it, and I tried 2 PSA uppers on it. They both fit. The rear one is much more snug than, well, they're both snug. The front one I can push in with just regular normal hand pressure, and it pivots. But the rear one, you have to basically pry up on the bolt forward assist in order to get the receiver off, which I figure is probably a good thing. You'd rather better than tight than not. So I'll give you an update when I get the buffer tube on, and we'll do a live fire at that.